Hello, my name is Brandon Johnson, and I'm a two-year student at the University of Laverne. I am 46 years old, and I am currently in pursuit of my degree in organizational management. My persuasive topic is ethical behavior in the workplace. Today, I will present facts and ideas to persuade you to see the overall benefits of good ethical behavior in the workplace. From the smallest of things to things that are quite obvious, my research will have you wondering, why didn't I think to do this sooner? It is so easy to apply, and everyone around you will benefit from it. We will cover a few topics and ideas, starting with why be ethical, followed by the cost of bad ethics. Then, what are good ethics really up against? And finally, changing the ethical culture. So let's begin. I performed a personal study last week at my office. It's about 6 employees, including myself. Just a simple survey of some what would you do kind of scenarios. Things that range from taking pencils from work to actually falsifying your timesheet. Then a small question and answer at the end. I found some interesting things, but not surprising things. But overall, I found that employees would only report unethical behavior if their job was in jeopardy. Unethical behavior would go unreported if, in fact, their job wasn't jeopardized. For example, using the printer to print out, say, personal projects. If the viewing employee sees that it's wrong, but may think, under the same circumstances, I may do the same thing, that particular unethical behavior would go unreported. Or if they considered it wrong, but also thought, it's worse things that they could be doing, then they still would not report it. On the flip side, if they were brought in for a face-to-face meeting and their jobs were threatened, they would report the behavior. Now, I'm under the belief that good ethics do not require an aggressive approach like threatening of a job for it to produce itself. It is a natural byproduct of a person's moral fiber. So, why be ethical? In a Forbes article, a survey found that 38% of teens that were polled reported feeling that they needed to cheat in order to get ahead. Well, why is that? Are they handicapped by what they see in the media? Well, was it the Wells Fargo scandal that saw employees doing unethical and illegal things just to get ahead in the company? Or maybe they just don't see good ethical behavior modeled for them. According to the importance of philosophy with regards to ethics at its core is a requirement for human life. It is our means of deciding a course of action. Without it, our actions will be random and aimless. There will be no way to work towards a goal because there will be no way to pick between a limitless number of goals with the possibility of any type of success. To the degree to which a rational ethical standard is taken, we are able to correctly organize our goals and actions to accomplish the most important values. Any flaw in our ethics will reduce our ability to be successful in our endeavors. Now, one central guiding point is this. When you face a tough problem, work through it as a manager and resolve it as a human being. This approach can help you avoid stark choices between getting ahead and doing something that you believe is wrong. Now, what is the cost of ethics in the workplace? Sure, you can add up and figure the cost of bad ethics on a number of pencils taken, the number of man hours used to surf the internet while at work, and even have some measurability on productivity loss by taking long breaks and lunches. But what about the cost of good ethics? A 2008 article in the Wall Street Journal on Does Being Ethics Actually Pay? Sought to find out how people would pay for an ethical product. They used coffee as the subject of the experiment. They asked 2 simple questions. How much would someone pay for an ethically produced product? And how much less are they willing to pay for one that they think is unethically produced? Before they answered, they asked him to read some information about the company's production standards. One group got positive ethical information. The other group got negative information. And the control group got neutral information. And generally, that's information that you would see if you were just shopping for coffee at a regular store. Now, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I was still somewhat surprised by the findings. The mean price for the ethical group, they said they would pay $9.71 per pound. And that was significantly higher than the control group that would only pay $8.31. Now the unethical group came in very low at $5.89. Meanwhile, as the numbers show, the unethical group was demanding to pay significantly less for the product than the control group. In fact, the unethical group punished the coffee's bad behavior more than the ethical group rewarded good behavior. So what does that say? Efforts to move towards ethical production and promote behavior appear to be a wise investment. In other words, if you act in a socially responsible manner and advertise that fact, you may be able to charge slightly more for your product and you won't feel bad doing it. What are good ethics up against? Some would ask, are good ethics dead? I think one thing that combats good ethics is the microwave mentality, to which the Forbes article, How a New Generation's Ethics Got Zapped, described it as people, mostly our youth, want things just like they want their popcorn, fast and with no fuss. Now, these microwavers are prepared to do whatever it takes to get ahead. These youngsters don't want to work for anything, but want the benefits as if hard work produced it. How can we expect these young people to magically abandon these behaviors when they enter the working world and the pressures and the stakes of potential rewards are even higher? Based on my findings, here's my thoughts. Businesses, don't set impossible and unreachable standards and goals. This may cause a person to cheat or be unethical to meet those high goals and standards. Sometimes the natural competitive drive of employees creates the anxiety of doing whatever it takes to be number one. This could cause an internal conflict within the employee if he or she is not careful. Make goals and standards challenging, but not unreachable. Now here's where the work comes in. How do we change the ethical culture in the workplace? It starts at the hiring process. When screening potential job applicants, there are some things you can look for. According to the Harvard Business Review article, there are 6 traits that predict ethical behavior at work. They are consciousness, moral attentiveness, duty orientation, customer orientation, assertiveness, and proactivity. Now, the employer can formulate scenarios to judge these characteristics during the selection process. Establishing an ethical climate in its purest form is simply to teach it. So the question is, how do we teach it? Ethics, a study in its own right, is part of philosophy. Some useful ideas drawn from philosophical ethics, which can be summarized in how we think about ethics as a whole. There are generally 4 ways of thinking about ethics, and those ways can serve as strategies for making decisions and negotiating ethical agreements with others. The 4 strategies involve the consideration of principles, consequences, agreements, and finally, virtues. Breaking down these thoughts, we first have to teach about principles, which are basically duties. Rules are commonly known as our morals. They are the guiding standards for leading a moral life. Principles are universally applicable, meaning they apply to everyday circumstances. So, if I argue it's not right to tell a lie, I'm appealing to your principles. When using the strategy of appealing to principle, I'm deciding to do something because it's the right thing, rather than the expedient thing to do. Here are some common principles to promote. 1, always tell the truth. Keep your promises. Here's my favorite: be fair. Another thought: respect human life. And finally, don't use people. That thought employs the basic biblical principle of treating others how you want to be treated. We have to teach also that there are consequences. All actions and decisions have consequences. The best way to decide if an action is right is that it has good consequences, such as whether it increases the welfare of the people affected by it. When considering consequences, the possible benefits of an action need to be weighed against the potentially negative results. Just remember that ethical decisions can only be made with references to known consequences. We also have to teach about agreements. I found that the best way to treat people is to ask them, simply ask them how they want to be treated. Seems simple enough, right? By doing that, people can reach agreements on how to treat each other. Generally, no one wants to be treated bad, which gives agreements a great deal of ethical power, because we are more likely to adhere to something we've agreed to rather than to conform to something that's been imposed upon us. Finally, we teach about having virtues. Virtues are simply character traits, and in some cases, a direct byproduct of our principles. A virtuous person does the right thing simply out of habit. The right thing to do is what a virtuous person would do. Some commonly recognized virtues are integrity, courage, and compassion. Now, this is just a start, but businesses have to be proactive and diligent in order to change their ethical culture. I close with this. An article in the Biz Journals cites that there are 5 common practices of bad ethics in the workplaces. And here they are: misusing company time, abusive behavior, employee theft, lying to employees, and violating companies' internet policies. Now, this can be changed. The pursuit of ethics can be changed individually, and that change permeates right into the workplace. Imagine how businesses would evolve if ethics were the priority that they try to promote. We wouldn't ask questions like, why be ethical? We would see that good ethical production is a benefit to the customer as well as to the profit of the business. So I persuade your thoughts with this: ethics as a whole will benefit everyone who comes in contact with it. We will find no need to cheat on our tests, and for that matter, cheat others out of money. Ethics allows us to feel safe in any environment if we see all the benefits. Taking paper clips from work often leads to taking your overall integrity and changing your overall integrity at work. Let's give ethics the chance that it deserves to make the workplace enjoyable once again. Thank you.